Hi, gorgeous. This is episode number 30.
Hi, this is Dana Pharant, and you're listening to Heart Sells podcast with Christine Schlonski. Enjoy.
Hi, Dana. I am so happy you are here. Welcome to Heart Sales podcast.
Oh, thank you so much. It is a delight to get to spend more time with you.
Yeah, it was wonderful. So for people who don't know you yet, you were also part of the Sales Mentality Makeover Masterclass. And I'm going to make sure to also drop a link on the website where you find all the show notes, the transcript, all the amazing links to get to these resources, especially to Dana's book. You can find that also at innerdominatrix.com, where you get a free chapter. Because Dana is all about authentic inner power and confidence. And I just love this topic. So, and you know, you are about confidence. And when people meet you, when I met you the first time, you seem super, super confident. Has this always been this way?
I wish. No, like so many people, when we learn something, it's usually because there was such a strong need to have that. I would say that I was the typical doormat personality. Growing up, I was the introvert. I wouldn't say anything. I spent a lot of time I would try to be, unseen in the room, find that corner and just be quiet and observe everything. So no, confidence was something that was hard for me. It was hard for me to be seen. It was hard for me to get my voice out. If there was more than 3 people in a room, I rarely said anything. Yeah, I was so quiet, which, for people who have met me recently, they just are like you can't imagine that because I take up a lot of airtime now. I think I'm making up for lost time. But, for me, the shift was learning to become a dominatrix was really the piece where I learned to stand in that authentic confidence quickly and easily, because I had to. It had to be, I had to stand confidently for people because that's part of the persona that needs to be there, but you can't fake it. You have to own it. So I really had to step into this. And I know for a lot of people, the whole dominatrix theme is, it conjures up images of somebody who's very harsh and very stern, and, and then there's the whole sexual thing. Some people, their brains are just, off in a direction. But when we come around to the energy and the essence of it, for me, that training was so valuable for my business because it gave me the skills that I needed to do, sales conversations and ask for what I needed and, get and be a speaker, get on podcasts, all these things that I need to do. I learned from that.
Yeah, awesome. So people might be surprised, like, whoa, what a special guest today. I just want to, give some background. So not everybody, obviously, who is an entrepreneur has ever put that together with, how do you even say the job? Is it like a job or?
It could be a job or a hobby. Some people, it's just a side gig.
Yeah. So of being a dominatrix. So can you give maybe some advice? Because some people are very introvert, but they have this beautiful gift. They want to give it to the world. They have this need to communicate, but don't really know how. So what is maybe one or two of the valuable things that you learned by becoming a dominatrix that they could learn from you without going through the whole path?
Yeah, I know. Not everybody wants to go to the dungeon. It's, I'm not sure why, but no. I think the places to start is one is really looking at what is your internal judgments of yourself? How are you talking to yourself? How are you comparing yourself to other people? And really what we have to do is we have to get into this place where it's okay that other people have opinions of us. It's okay that they have these judgments of who we are and what we do and how we show up. And that's a process. It's not a like, oh, I'm just going to change how I think, right? That willpower, trying to override it by willpower is actually useless. And my analogy that I give people is that, remember from grade 6 science class, you take your magnets, you have your two magnets, and if you try to take the two south poles or the two north poles and you try to shove them together, no matter how hard you push, they will always repel one another.
Yeah.
And this is the analogy that I use for people. It's like when you're trying to change something by brute force, by just willpowering through it, telling yourself, we'll just stop thinking that. Just don't think of the yellow ball bouncing. No, don't think of that yellow ball bouncing. Don't think about it. That doesn't work, right? Because the only thing you're thinking of is the yellow ball bouncing. So the more that you tell yourself not to do it, the less you're actually going to get there. So we need to use some tools to actually remove those automatic responses from our system and start moving that out. So I would say the very first thing is to just make some space in your universe that it's possible to change it, that it's possible for you to be confident at some point in the future. I think that's probably the starting place. And then, of course, there's lots of tools that we get into for actually changing on a dynamic, deep level the programming so that it becomes effortless to show up confidently.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I mean, that's a big shift. And from being like introvert, as you just described, not saying anything, just kind of blending in, to actually dominate. That's like, I mean, I can't even see a bigger shift than that. So where people can start is to be aware of their self-talk, and then really observe how they talk to themselves and make a conscious decision, if the self-talk is not good, to change it. And to have that conversation, not, well, I am confident, and they are not, they're shaking, but it's like, I can see myself to be confident. I can be more confident each and every day.
And, and that brings up a really great point, because the language that you've just brought in there is a little bit more towards the affirmation style, which to me is the slow route. So, because every time you say it as an affirmation of like, I am more and more confident every day in every way, I'm getting better and better, right? Yes, that eventually works, but you have to say that so many times to start making micro changes. Because what happens is that, this is the neurochemistry piece, when you say something that isn't true, your brain will automatically rebut that, and it will refute it, say, well, no. So if you're saying, I'm a confident person, then your brain is getting in there and going, well, no, because you didn't do this and you didn't do that. You didn't speak up here and you're not doing this, or, and you're right. So you have all this evidence that keeps getting thrown at you. And then all of the emotion kicks in, and you start to feel bad about where you are not measuring up. So this is where I just wanted to explain that piece about, because I don't like affirmations. They're very ineffective. But if we flip it on its head, and this would be another really easy tool for people, you flip that affirmation around and you start to utilize the fact that your brain will, look for evidence. We do it as a why question. Okay. And you take that, piece of being confident and you turn that around to saying, I wonder why it's so easy for me to be more confident every day. Right. And then there's no resistance to that, because it's not, right? It's not a clear statement. It's not a like, this is who I am. So your brain goes, no. And the more you start playing with those kinds of questions, and you just like energetically leave it open, I wonder why it's so easy, right? And you just, I wonder. And then your brain over time starts accumulating evidence to support that. So now you're training your brain to look for where you are confident. And then we know that from neuroscience that, the brain, builds on itself. And when we start seeing things, evidence of being confident, then it's easier to step into being more confident, which brings more evidence, which brings more confidence, right? So it's a nice way of, DIY to start building it. It will take some time, but it starts to shift it in that direction that you want to go, instead of, you know, the constant rebuttal and fighting that you get when you do affirmations.
Yeah, oh, that's beautifully explained. I do love affirmations, I have to say, but just how you brought light with the why question is awesome.
Thank you.
I could really feel like having my internal dialogue while you spoke, and kind of trying on that why opportunity did shift the energy.
Yeah.
And we are all curious, right? We are entrepreneurs. So we want to know like what works, what doesn't work, how can I be of better service? And the why is such a big question. So that keeps you open, that keeps you motivated, and it keeps your brain searching for evidence, which I think is a brilliant piece to make the journey so much easier for you.
Yeah. It's a nice hack, and it really, you know, up-level affirmation, you know, 10.0. We just take a huge jump in the effectiveness of where it takes you.
Yeah. So we already seen or understood like your big shift in confidence. Do you remember the very first thing in your life you've ever sold?
Oh my goodness. I mean, I've been self-employed forever. So what was the first thing? I would probably tend to pull on the, you know, the catchphrase if I had to sell myself, because being self-employed, I had to set up a situation where I would go where I'd be working. So I had to pitch myself, which is not uncommon to most people with getting a job, but a little bit different in that, you know, there were a number of people vying for this great opportunity in a beautiful medical building. And of course, so this is back in the days when I was a massage therapist, just graduated, beautiful medical building, you know, in with a chiropractor and a few other massage therapists who were fully booked and had spillover. So it was a great opportunity. And I had to go in and convince them why I would be the best fit. And, you know, I didn't really make that connection until you just brought that up. What was the first thing I sold? I'm like, yeah, that's probably the first thing.
So no cookies in school or something?
Well, you know, I grew up in a highly religious household that was really a mild cult. And so we weren't partaking in any of that. So no. Well, actually, yeah, I guess you could say that was the first thing I sold was, you know, the religion. From age 8 on, I was pushing that, even though I didn't believe in it. I wasn't a good salesperson, but
yeah. Well, then let's focus on how you sold yourself to getting that space in that medical building.
Yeah, that's a better example. So
that was the first thing, and obviously you succeeded. Otherwise, it wouldn't be a story now.
Yeah, I failed miserably. It was awful.
So how did it make you feel to kind of ask for the sale?
It was that definitely, I was still in the space of being much more of a doormat, but I felt great. I felt great to get it. The asking was nerve-wracking, and at the same time, it was interesting in that, you know, I felt a bit of confidence in my hands-on skills, so I really leaned into that. The business side of it was all new. And then, you know, it's interesting because I think back and I'm like, yeah, I wanted it really badly, but I didn't get hung up on if I didn't, because there were other places to work. So I had a bit of a detachment from it, and still excited. I was excited to even just apply.
Yeah. Awesome. Yeah, I did an episode like on Fridays, as Variety Friday, where I share some of my sales knowledge or great resources or answer questions. And I had an episode talking about the goal and the outcome. So what you just said, letting go of the outcome, but not of the goal. Some people let go of the goal, right?
Yes.
Well, letting go of the outcome also means if the client says no with a weak excuse, I just walk away.
Right.
Which should not be done, because we want to serve the person and we want to make sure that we did everything in our power to empower them to say yes to themselves.
Absolutely.
So it's always good to have other options, because that makes you kind of independent and flexible, and probably more creative if you're more open and in flow than when you're stuck with this one idea has to work. So
absolutely. You know, when we let go of attachment, and I know you and I are aligned on this idea that, you know, when we have that expectation that things can work out in our favor, and so we're not attached to it has to be this particular, like this one tiny little thing, then, you know, creatively you can look beyond it. You start looking for other things. When you're not focused on it, it has to be exactly like this. Then you get like, okay, so here's my goal. What else might fit that target?
yeah,
How else can I get it? And then, you know, the creative ideas can come in. It's really quite, I love it.
Yeah, and I think it's so important for, especially for entrepreneurs, right? Because you have to be creative at times, like very creative.
Yes.
to make sure that, you know, your business grows and you know, that you evolve, that you grow yourself. I mean, you can't just ask your clients to grow. That's not gonna work for a long time. So I assume that well, no, I shouldn't assume. I should just ask you. Do you believe there is such a thing like a natural salesperson?
I have yet to see it. I think everybody that I've met, maybe there is, but I have yet to meet somebody who is a natural salesperson first. I think there are people that end up looking like they're a natural salesperson. And yet it's still by learning, whether it is accidental learning, you know, you meet those people who just kind of fall into, they want to serve, they want to help people, and they have a drive to feel the rush of the sale. And so you get that blending. And I think that to me is that natural salesperson, right? The person who has very little attachment to how the outcome shows up, but drives for the outcome to show up.
Yeah,
Right?
yeah,
That piece. Yeah.
Yeah, and they can feel when, you know, when the moment of yes comes, right? They can feel and lean into the sales situation.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I always love this question because I want to motivate people to really go and learn those sales skills, because so far nobody I've interviewed has known a natural born salesperson. But we have the perception that there are people that are natural born salespeople.
Although, if you look at kids, a lot of kids are natural salespeople. Like I have seen some kids, I remember hearing this story. So this little boy, and he's like, "Mommy, you're so pretty. I just love being around you." Like just butter her right up. And then it was this smooth little transition over into, "I think you would like to buy me an ice cream."
I love the story.
That's a natural salesperson.
Yeah. Well, if he is still this way when he has grown up, then definitely
Yes.
he has not lost those skills. And there are different ways to get to that outcome, right? Another kid could have just fallen to the floor and cried and screamed. It's another approach. I do like the charming one though. So when people step into that confidence and into that zone, that would you say that you can feel it with your whole body?
Yeah, I would say, to me, authentic confidence, like if I really tune into it, it's a quiet feeling. So many people tend to associate confidence with this big puffing of the chest, and it's this outward projected, you know, kind of energy. But to me, confidence is very quiet, and it sits kind of like at the, you know, the base of the heart and down into the solar plexus and even in the belly. And it's this quiet power
Mm.
that exudes out from within, but it doesn't steamroll anybody. It just kind of comes in and washes over people.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, so beautiful. I've never heard it this way, but that is, I feel it.
Thank
Yeah.
you.
Yeah. Yeah, totally. And
Mm-hmm.
I'm quite sure. So for the listeners, so if you want to be more confident, just take a minute and tune into that space, heart, solar plexus, belly, this area, and just have a deep breath and listen what your body is telling you when you talk about something that you know, that you get excited about, that you believe in. Then I think this evolves naturally. And
Yes.
often in the situations, because was what I have noticed with a lot of my clients, when you talk to them, they're super excited about their gifts, about what they do. And you buy right into the idea that they are, the person to go to. But when it comes to making an offer, it's like the fear or anxiety or whatever is like sweeping in at the same time, kind of pushing that confidence away. And that they change energy, they become like a different person. And they have different states of being a little bit like weird to like really strange, which kind of destroys the deal. And
It
it's,
does.
it's really heartbreaking to see, because then if they don't sell something, they don't get the confirmation, they don't get their business to thrive. Do you have any advice of what people can do, because they know this moment is going to come where they have to make an invitation or an offer? How did you deal with it?
Yeah. So one, I will reiterate that it's like that deeper work needs to be done to clear out the self-judgments and those programs that get running in our system about what sales is and what it, all of those things. But I think for now, to focus on dropping back into your heart, that, right? And then this is the whole thing of your podcast, to drop back into your heart and to think about, okay, how can I love this person? How can I serve this person? And, where can I make this offer out of the love and compassion that I have for them? And I think when you start shifting it back into the heart, because I think where people get wonky is that they're so passionate about what they're doing and they're talking, and it's like so much heart energy, so much love, right? All of that passion, and the passion from the lower chakras as well. And that's all coming through, and they're just exuding all this wonderful juiciness to their client or potential client. And the client's like, oh, this feels great. I love this person. And all of a sudden they just shut all that off back into their head.
Yeah.
And then they're like, from eyeballs up. And all of a sudden you're like, where did they go? Like,
Exactly.
What happened to my love? Like, I don't feel so loved anymore. All of a sudden I feel like, somebody just crapped on me. And of course you're going to get a no at that point, because it is the extreme of having loved up on them and then suddenly switching gates, and it's just cerebral, and it's like, whoa. So if you can drop back down into, who you are and how you show up when you're just serving them in the beginning. And serving doesn't mean giving all of your tools away. Serving them in the, finding out more about them, going through that sales conversation. Stay in that state when you make your offer. And it's practice.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, beautiful. Obviously I love it.
It speaks right to what you do.
I know it's so great to have. I just love these conversations, and I'm so excited that you are going to be back for another interview, and where we can dive in deeper. I'd love to go into that energy stuff. So stay tuned, gorgeous. Make sure you check out the next episode with Dana Pharant, and check out her book, innerdominatrix.com. You get a free chapter on her page. So really make sure you have a look and learn all of that juicy stuff. Well, in case you might not be confident all the time, I hope you really learned something from this interview, because there is a space where you can tune into that confidence, where you can change, as Dana mentioned, going from doormat to actually dominatrix is a huge step. tune in for the next interview, because we will talk about sales and how you can make your prospects feel like coming to the most exclusive party there is. I'm sure you will enjoy it. So tune in. Make sure you subscribe to the podcast, that you get the notifications, and you find all the show notes, the resources, the transcript, also the link to Dana and the masterclass where she spoke before on christineschlonski.com. Have fun. Have a wonderful day wherever you are in the world, and bye for now.